I'll tell you what, I think this year is going to be a very exciting year because I think we have some very talented players. But one of the things, if we go back to last year, we lost 24 seniors. And so there's going to be a lot of new faces taking some leadership as we go through this year. But what is exciting is the talent and the ability of the guys that we have. And they have bought into the mission, they have bought into the purpose and the values, and we still have some great leaders. If we go back, Tommy, Easton, and Tony were all captains last year. So we got 3 of our captains returning. Tanner Quick is here today. We got some outstanding players, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that I think has happened is when I first came, we didn't have that kind of depth. We had some good players, but we didn't have the talent level that we have. We certainly didn't have the depth. So this year there's going to be some new names that people are going to see, but I think they're going to see some great play. I think that they have already done that in our recruiting process. When we bring young men in, they share with them what our vision is for this program. And I think they all understand that we want to play for championships. We want guys that are going to be first-class people off the field, on the field, in the classroom, all the way through. And I think the new guys understand that coming in. But I think then what will happen now when we start camp is the new guys will see basically the work ethic of these guys firsthand in a weight room, on the practice field. And I think that's one of the biggest things is that the work ethic and the commitment is there, and as our guys follow that, it's easy for the young guys to step in and see that, or else they're going to fall by the wayside. And I think a lot of that has been a great job of our coaches of recruiting young men that already understand that work ethic, and then these guys have just really accepted that role, and I think it is becoming easier and easier to pass down because it's coming from the players, not just from the coaches.
What changed for you guys the last 3 years?
I think the biggest thing is that the players have bought into the mission and the vision, and they understand the work ethic. We can go back to the guys that were in the program the first year there, and during that first spring, there were a lot of guys fell by the wayside. The guys that stayed, they started to set that standard for everybody else. They were not able to see all the rewards of that in that short time period, but the standard had been set. When these guys came in, they have accepted that standard from day one, and it has carried through now that they understand that for basically every year that they've been there, and they continue to challenge themselves to even greater and greater heights. We've won 3 conference championships. Our guys believe we have a chance to win a national championship, and that's what I want. I want them always to understand that it is still a journey and it is a process, but within that process, you also have to know where you're going, and we have very big vision, very big goals for this program. Well, I'll tell you what, I think that if you go back, Tommy's been an outstanding player from his very first year playing for us. And I think that what we're going to try to do this year is we're going to try to move him around even a little bit more. There's some times that it's almost impossible to block him as a middle linebacker. He can run, he can play sideline, he can play in the deep middle even when we get into some of our cover 2 stuff. And at the same time, though, we want to put him on an edge even more so because I think that where we've lost Blake was a phenomenal pass rusher. We want to make sure that we're continuing to put pressure on quarterbacks, and we want to be able to have that guy off the edge. And so I think you're going to see him moving around, whether it's in our 3-4, whether it's in our 4-2 stuff. And, we just want to use all of our players to the best talent that we have available, and we want to get that speed and that ability on the field. I think you're going to see a young man that believes completely in himself and believes in the system. I think, he made the statement a while ago. He doesn't feel like he has to carry any more load. I think he's exactly right. I think he understands our offense, and he understands that we've got things built into it that basically there are going to be times that it's just simply getting the ball to the receivers. There's times it's basically utilizing the running backs and the people that we have in our system. And so I think the greatest thing is that he has become a greater and greater leader every single year, and understanding that his role is really just to administer the football where we want it to go, and at the same time he is tremendously dynamic when it is his chance to carry the football. But I think people are going to see that he has probably a much greater passing ability than what they even envisioned, and they've seen parts of that, but I think they're going to see that it's even that much greater. We're gonna still want to run the football. I think you've got to be able to run the ball, you got to be able to throw the ball, and you got to be able to do each in different situations. And I think we got John Beverly back. John is a young man that several years ago, before he got dinged up a little bit, he had a couple games where he rushed for over 200 yards in a game. Brett Ogie is back. Brett has played a lot for us. Daryl Hawkins is back. Daryl was a starter several years ago before he had an injury and went through a couple things. And then we've got several other young guys in the program. So I think we've got some very talented running backs. Maybe they haven't had their chance to shine yet, but I think that's what people are going to see is we've got a lot of players that maybe the conference hadn't heard of, but they are ready to shine. What I want to see is I want these guys to be able to look back and say we accomplished everything we set out to do.